Terry with the Davis-Whitehall Company. We are based in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Here's a picture of Pikes Peak with the Garden of the Gods. And I can tell you, when I look out my conference room window, I look right at the tip of Pikes Peak, and that is one hard room to sit at the head of the table and have a meeting in. Because not only do we look right at Pikes Peak, but we're also in the flight path for the airport where the military planes come in and do touch and goes. There's a lot of World War II aircraft that get restored in Colorado Springs, so you see all those flying by. So it can be very distractive to have a meeting in that room. So a little about Davis-Whitehall. I started Davis-Whitehall in 1991. That was 33 years ago. Back then, the cremation rate was right about 17.5%. And I remember doing NFDA in 1993 and looking around, and like the major casket companies didn't even carry urns, because cremation was treated like the C word. It's like cancer. Nobody wanted it, right? So the best thing to do is to damn it, and hopefully it goes away. I'll never forget, there was a gentleman there, tall guy, and he looked kind of old to me back then. Today, he would not look so old. But yeah, man, that was 33 years ago. I can't believe this. But he was like 6'3", 6'4", very distinguished, white hair. And I said to him, "Sir, would you like to look at my urns?" We'll call him Bill. "Bill, would you like to look at my urns?" And Bill says, "Cremation? The hell with you." I said, "Excuse me?" I said, "The hell with you." So, Bill, let me ask you a question. What do you do when a family comes in and chooses cremation? He goes, "I'll tell you what I do right now. I sit back in my front window, I give them the name of my competitor down the street, and I'm going to watch my competitor go out of business." 1993, 31 years ago. Look how things have changed, and I wonder how Bill's funeral home is doing today, right? So let's get into this. It's time to get personal with cremation families. I remember we came out with an urn called the Create an Urn, and I did that way back when, because even then, funeral homes weren't even personalizing urns because it was kind of a hassle. So we came out with an urn where we encompass personalization and applique, a choice of woods and everything, and it actually has done very well, and it still does. So let's get into this. But before we do that, I want to talk percentages. And you might be wondering, what is this guy thinking about? Because I'll tell you one thing about me. I'm extremely ADD, and very dyslexic. We may even learn new words today when I combine 2 or 3 words together. That very well could happen. But let's take a look at these percentages. What I mean by that is this. What percentage of the families you serve are choosing cremation? Every funeral home's going to know that percentage. They know whether they're 30%, 50%, 60%, 70% cremation, right? What are they choosing for cremation? Of those families choosing cremation, what percentage are buying an urn through the funeral home? That's a really important question, an answer to have to this question. And of those families choosing to purchase an urn through the funeral home, how many are choosing to have them personalized or customized? When I ask funeral directors this question, face-to-face or in a meeting with a group of them from the same locations, only a handful, they all can answer what percentage of cremation they do. But how many buy an urn through the funeral home? It falls to maybe only 10% can answer that question. And then at the last question, hardly anyone knows what percentage are choosing customization or personalization. That's where your money is. That's where your revenue is, because I'm sure no one in this room has ever lost a sale to a family who's purchased an urn online and brought it into the funeral home. I'm sure that's never happened, and it's going to stop. I know it is. So let's take a look at this. I really believe your target goal should be 50%. 50% of all the families you serve should be purchasing an urn for you, and 50% should having them personalized or customized. Now, I'm going to share some figures with you, and I'm not doing this to be boastful. But there is one funeral home in a major metropolitan area. We're just going to say Houston, because this is, trust me, after driving through here, it's a major metropolitan area. They have like 11 locations. In 2023, we sold them 2,200 urns, of which of those 2,200 urns, 84% were customized and are personalized. 84%. We have another single rooftop that they are almost to 6 figures a year with us. They are 74 to 75% of everything they do is either customized or personalized. They are not leaving money on the table. And what I like about the customization and personalization is it's very hard to navigate on the internet. So let's take a look at this. Who knows what the #1 best-selling urn in the country is? You're a good man. I like you. Yes. Also, before we go any further, can I see a show of hands from all the students here? Oh, yeah. I love it. The future of death care is in this room. That is awesome. Give them a round of applause. These students, give them a round of applause. Man, I love the students because they think outside the box. So back in 2008, when I started doing presentations around the country with customization and personalization, I kept these figures for some reason. So let's look at 2008. When you use the keywords of cremation urns in the search engine, Yahoo was 1.1 million. Google was about 400,000. Bing didn't even exist back then. Amazon had 297,000 urns for sale. And eBay had 1,200. Let's go to 2013. Look at the changes that have happened. And you can see Bing is starting to come, but look at Amazon, 3,400. Look at eBay, over 5,000. 2016. Yahoo, look at Google, 2.6 million websites. Amazon, 20,000 urns for sale. eBay, 11,000 urns for sale. Any funeral homes in here that carry at least 11,000 urns on their floor to show their families? Okay, nobody. Okay, last year, look where Amazon was, almost 1 million. And here we go this year, 1.48 million from Amazon. And 7,000 from eBay. This is our competition. Every time that family purchases an urn from online and not through the funeral home, we lose revenue. The funeral home loses revenue, I lose revenue, but more importantly, the family is not served properly, okay? Let's talk about Connie. You're a funeral director, and because you're a good funeral director, you've done your homework, you've come to realize that Connie is one of 3 children. She's in with her mother, helping to make arrangements in the conference. Her dad was an accountant, right? And his passion was golfing. Now, Connie brought her urn in along with her that she bought online. But you get to the point in the contract where you've got to fill out the urn on the line. What do? Do you throw your hands up in the air? Do you just write brought in own urn? Or do you step outside your comfort zone? Let's look at this. Step outside your comfort zone because you've done your homework and you know that Connie's dad loved the golf. Let's ask Connie an open-ended question that she has got to answer. Connie, by chance, do you have a favorite photo of your father golfing? Yes, I do, because she's going to answer that question. You know, Connie, if we had that photo, we could customize an urn for you similar to what we have here. And then Connie might say, well, I bought an urn online. Did you have it personalized? No, well, you could send it back. Even if she had it personalized, show her the options with customization. And let's think about this. What if 5 to 10% of the families you ask that open-ended question to bought an urn from the funeral home? What would that do to your revenue? What would that do to your bottom line? Because let's face it, when you don't sell an urn, you make 0 on that product. So why not step outside your comfort zone? I mean, I remember the first time I got up here to do this. Oh my Lord, what a disaster that was. So let's come here and take a look now. Yes, I rove. I'm all over the place. So I love this quote. The pessimist complains about the wind. The optimist expects it to change, and the realist adjusts their sails. What I'm asking everyone in this room to do is to adjust your sails. We've seen, and that can go both ways, sales. We've seen what's happened already with the internet. We know it's going to continue. We have to be in the forefront to help to try to fight this. So customization. There's my friend Wanda. What is customization? According to the dictionary, and I'll paraphrase here, it's to build or alter to a family's specific needs or to modify something to their specific needs. Now, I can tell you this, I am a prime example of customization. Before my mother died, she still denied this, but I swear that my mom dropped me out of a 3-story window when I was a child and my legs went like this. She denied it because here's my problem. I get a sport coat, I get a suit. They're all custom made by Rivera tailors, either at NFDA or ICCFA. Because I used to be 5'10". I go to the doctor now. They tell me my blood pressure is too high. And I said, every time I come here, I lose a 1/4 inch in height and you beat me up about my LBs. I don't like being here. Come back in 10 minutes and take it again. Then it's fine. So I'm 5'9" now. I have a 19.5-inch neck, a 54-inch chest, 37-inch long arms. That's really, for a guy my size, a 42-inch waist and a 29-inch inseam. That's where the 3 inches should have. It should have been 32 inches in the legs. So I can't buy anything off the rack, right? So customization, when you use that word for a family, we can customize an urn for you. It does 3 things. Number 1, it's just for me. No one else is going to have anything like this. Number 2, it's going to take more time. And of course, number 3, it's going to cost me more. It's going to cost me more, but that one word tells your families a story, okay? So customization is everywhere. It's not only expected, but it is accepted. Think about what you see on the radio, the print ads, you hear, TV. Everybody's talking about we can customize this, we can customize this, we can customize this. How often do we as a profession talk about customization? How often do we do that? And how much money are we leaving on the table? Let's face it, this is a business. We need to generate revenue. If we don't generate revenue, we're in trouble. Trivia, baseball fans? Oh, come on. Okay, I've got one. Who was the last player in the major leagues to bat over 400? Oh, man, I love this. See, he was right. You're right. This is good. We're doing good. Okay, Ted Williams in 1941, he batted 406, and there was a salary, $20,000, and in 42 it was $35,000, adjusted for inflation. He batted 401. I'm sorry, 406. Man, and nobody's touched him. What is it, 86 years late, 83 years later? So last year, our batting champion was Bobby Witt Jr., $2 million, $7 million. He signed a contract for $287 million. Now, these two guys, 83 years apart, both have something in common. Anybody want to guess what they have in common? They're both miserable failures. They are both miserable failures because they were the best at what they do, but Ted Williams failed almost 60% of the time, and he failed almost 67% of the time. They're both miserable failures. They failed that much, but they were the best at what they do. The next thing they had in common is every time it was their turn to come up the bat, they stepped up to the plate with the bat to try to improve their average. So you ask the family that question about Connie every single time, and you only get a response 2 or 3, 4 or 5% of the time. At least you're getting a response. If you don't ask the question, you have struck out. You don't even have a chance to improve your average. Oh, who remembers this? Put your left leg in, you put your left leg, you do the hokey pokey and turn. Okay, I remember because I'm an old guy. All right, I remember. And trust me, I'm a lot older than I look, trust me. So quick question. I do not want to see a show of hands. When you get dressed in the morning, do you put your left leg in your pants, your left sock on first, your left leg in your pants first, your left shoe on first, or to the right? I want you to think about it for a second. Me, I'm always left. Left leg in the underwear, left sock on, left leg in the pants, left shoe on first because I have an issue with my right knee, and I always have to do this when I put my right leg in. Okay? I know that. If you do not know which leg you put in your pants first, chances are you are stuck in a rut. You are stuck in a routine. And if you are stuck in a routine doing that, are you stuck in the same routine when you meet with your families? Think about it. Every family is different. I had a funeral director. I was doing this one time. I can't remember where, but he came up to me and he goes, let me tell you a true story. We'll call him Bob. And Bob says, I did a service for Ann. Her husband had died. We did this service just the way she had wanted it. And then Barbara came in and Barbara lost her husband. And we did a service for Barbara's husband. Well, what he didn't know is that Ann and Barbara were friends. And when he did the service for Barbara's husband, excuse me, It was an elaborate service. It was just all laid out. It was an incredible service. After the service, Ann came up to him and literally got in his face and said, "How dare you do that to me?" That's the service I wanted from my husband. You never once offered that to me. You never once suggested that to me. What you did for Barb's husband is what I wanted for mine, but you never asked. Was he in a hurry to go home? Was he having a bad day? I mean, what do people say? Every option, every time, every family. You never know who's walking in that door. You never know who you're dealing with unless you're in an extremely small town and you know the population. We can't take things for granted. Okay, students, listen up. Here's a pet peeve of mine. What do all these words have in common? What do they all have in common? The remains are stuff we throw away, right? Remember that. According to the dictionary, the definitions, the remains are a bit of portion or something that's left after it's been destroyed. And so here's your synonyms, here's your related words, rubble. But what do we call a person? Cremated remains, cremains. So every time we use this term, cremains or cremated remains, what are we doing? We're literally changing the identity of a loved one into something that is now disposable. And if they're disposable, why do they want to buy an urn? Why? Why do they want to buy an urn? It doesn't matter if they're going to scatter with some of Darren's products. It does not matter. But we're literally telling the families that their loved one is now disposable. So when someone says to me, when will my dad's ashes be done? Rebecca, we'll have your father ready for you to pick your dad up Friday by noon. He'll be here. Your dad will be here. I always say when you're dealing with this, it's important to refer to the loved ones by the first names that they have to the family: mother, father, sister, brother. I'll tell you, my mother passed 4 years ago, March 4th. And they had a Catholic service. And the priest comes up to me, and I was carrying the urn, and everything was planned for traditional service for both mom and dad. It was all planned. It was all pre-needed. It was all set up. The Wickman's Funeral Home in Appleton, Wisconsin. It was all taken care of. And then my sister Bonnie calls me. I'm one of 9, by the way. I'm number 2 of 9. My sister Bonnie calls me, and she goes, "Has Mom talked to you lately?" I said, "About what?" "About what happens after they die." I said, "No." She goes, "Your mother hasn't talked to you?" I said, "No, why?" She goes, "Terry, they're both going to be cremated. They want you to do the urns." I go, "What?" "No, it's traditional. Everything's done. Everything's set." So I called my mom. I started talking to her. My mother's like 4'11", 100 pounds. And I said, "Ma, anything you forgot to tell me?" "Oh, yeah. I forgot to tell you, Dad and I both want to be cremated because we want you to make our urns." I'm, "Oh, don't you think you should have said something?" You know, because Dad he had dementia. He was getting close to going. So when Mom passed, it was right before COVID. And the priest says to me, "Well, when you carry your mom's remains up front, when you carry your mom's ashes up front," and I go like this, I go, "Father, stop. Do not refer to my mother as remains or ashes, because you're calling her garbage. You're saying she's disposable. She's my mother. She's not disposable. I would appreciate during the service you refer to her as Mrs. School or as Elaine. Would you do that, please?" And he did through the whole service. He never once mentioned her ashes. And I said, "I know what you're going to tell me about the Bible says." Then I said, "I know what you're going to tell me, but please do not do that to me and my brothers and sisters here. Do not use that term for me." And he didn't. I was really glad he did. So now we're going to talk about how to keep you out of trouble. I miss my mom. Trademarks, the circle with a C, the registered trademark, the R with a circle, and then a TM. These are very important things to be aware of. If you use anything that has a C or an R or a TM and you use it on the front of an urn and you do not have a one-time release, it is called willful intent. And willful intent can start, I believe it's about $150,000 the fines do. And the only reason I know so much about copyright, a major casket company at one point in time decided to borrow 6 of our designs and go to China and knock them off. Boy, did I learn a lot. We won, by the way. Had a good attorney, and I learned a lot about copyright law. And I will not put a funeral home in jeopardy because of a copywritten image. So here's what we're going to do. Watch this. How many here have heard of Shutterstock.com? Thank you. It is a royalty-free website. And anything that comes off that website is royalty free. I had my attorney look into it. We pay Shutterstock a huge annual membership to join to this thing because of the downloads we take off of it, but it's royalty free. Look what you can find on Shutterstock. So we can take that image of the Dallas Cowboys or the Chiefs, and we can put that on an urn. It's royalty free. Now, I will tell you this. If you decide to, hey, we have this metal urn that we bought for $70 and I want to make it sexy and dress it up, and I'm going to put a Dallas Cowboy logo on the front of it and you put it on the front of it, that is willful intent. That is copyright and trademark infringement. The family can put it on there. You cannot, right? The family can put it on. You cannot. So let's take a look at some of these things here. Now we're going to get into showing you some of the customizations that we have done. And I can do this because I paid for the spot so I can talk about Davis-Whitehall. So here we go. Mr. Hunter up there is nothing but a natural box. And that urn there is very inexpensive, but it's texture printed. I offer you to go out there and when we're done, take a look, but you can touch and feel the facial features. You can touch and feel the facial features. We call it texture printing by Davis-Whitehall, creating memories you can feel. You notice creating memories you can feel has the R with a circle in it because it's a registered trademark of Davis-Whitehall. We allow funeral homes to use it all the time. Let's take a look at our Lancaster, the 183. You could feel the scales on the dragon. You could feel the writing, the flowers, everything else. You could feel everything on there. This is hard to navigate online. Now, at NFDA, some of you were there. I noticed there was a lot of people doing color printing at NFDA, and that's fine. The thing that separates us is ours is textured, ours is raised. An image that might take them 5 minutes to print, it takes us 25 minutes because of how we have to build up the detail to create the facial features and create the imagery. The drop. We have clip art, personalization, and a photo. The young man, Dalton there on the Renaissance, 18 years old, EMT from El Paso County, Colorado, and always wore a seatbelt, never really drank. And some of his friends were missing that night, and he went out looking for his friends. And they're out in eastern Colorado, it's like probably eastern Texas, or there's just open spaces. And he always wore a seatbelt, but when they found him, he was ejected from the car. His seatbelt was never on. Some of the tires were torn right off the car. And there were close to what I was told, almost 1,000 people at the service. His mother says to me, I can feel the tattoos. Not to me, but to the director, I can feel the tattoos on my son's arm. What do you think that did for her to help the healing? This is all about converting your grieving to healing. And I call it stealth advertising because everyone there at that service knew the funeral home who did that urn. That's stealth advertising. This is kind of neat. We just did this one. This happened while I was down in New Orleans at NFDA. He actually coached all 5 of those teams. This guy did. He was a baseball coach. And we had the release from some of them. Some of them were defunct. But that ball, you can't see it, but the ball was signed. And you could actually feel the names on the ball. You could see the names on the ball, but that's what they wanted. He coached every single one of those teams. And so there again, that's hard to navigate online because we're having this communication going back and forth, which is really important. The one on the end, it's just a plain Jane, simple stainless steel urn. But by the time we were done with it and taking the images off of Shutterstock and personalizing it, now it makes a statement. That urn now makes a statement. Bill here. So we have his picture there, the American flag, and that badge was actually his badge he had that he wore during his time with law enforcement there. And there again, it's just something we did. The Pepsi was kind of neat. It was a pre-need situation. I had a funeral director call me up and they go, Terry, we got a problem. I said, what's that? We have a pre-need for Pepsi Cola. We don't know what to do. I said, let's go to Shutterstock. Let's take a look. So we get on Shutterstock. I go, oh, look at the age of the guy, 42, 58. So the guy's over 70 years old, right? I envisioned him carrying this type of bottle of Pepsi around. His kids said every time they saw him, he had a bottle of Pepsi Cola. They remembered him back. So we did that, plus they took a tribute coin. There again, customization. And I will tell you one thing. If we're not doing 50 to 70% of every urn we send out every day, either customized or personalized, we've had a bad day. Okay, that's how much of this we do. The one on the right, the left, I'm sorry, she's 5 years old. Loved unicorns. That's in a big urn for a 5-year-old girl. The family provided the image on the top, but they wanted the unicorns. They wanted all the personalization. You can see how we filled the canvas up there with all the personalization, but that's what they wanted for their daughter. We have that ability. We have googly eyes. Oh, come on, googly eyes? He always told his family, after I die, I'm going to be watching you. I'm going to be watching you. There you go, googly eyes, right? I mean, I walked in, I was on a trip somewhere and I walked in, it's on the back shelf. I go, what the, can you explain this to me? And they said, yeah, he always said, I'm going to be watching you. So we got googly eyes. So they did that, and they did matching keepsakes. And it was texture printed, so you could feel the eyes and everything else. Now, also to let you know what happens here, like the one on the left with jade, that is done in 2 different machines. The texture printing is done in one machine, then we take it out and we put it in a custom 2-source metal engraver we had designed, and it does that. It fills that canvas the whole way. It works really nice. But yeah, so same with googly eyes. It was done in 2 different machines. Here, any Grateful Dead fans? I'm not, but I'm just saying. Obviously, Christopher was a huge Grateful Dead fan. Shutterstock.com, Grateful Dead, image on the left, image on the right. The image on the left really turned out awesome with the texture printing. I mean, the detail in that with the eyes, the roses, and everything else. But that's what they wanted for Christopher. Who are we to say no? Okay, the Packer urn, okay. Neat story. This was done by a director that we've worked closely with for a lot of years. And he called me up one day and he goes, Terry, we're in a quandary here. I said, what's up? He goes, I have a family here, and with the daughter who lost her dad and her uncle, and they really have some questions, and I need your help here. Do you mind if I put you into the arrangement conference? I said, no, that's fine. So they put me into the arrangement conference, and he introduces me to the young lady, and her name is Stephanie. And my first response was, Stephanie, I'm really sorry that we had to meet under these circumstances, but I am here to tell you that whatever we can do to make your dad's final resting place special, we will do that. Tell me about your father. She goes, the last memory I had of my dad was pulling up a TV in front of a hospital bed so he could watch a Packer game. I was an only child. My dad's my hero. And we watched a Packer game together. And I said, if you don't mind me asking, Stephanie, what happened to your father? And he goes, he died of esophageal cancer. He was taking Zantac, died of esophageal cancer. And here's what I'm thinking of. And I said to her, I said, before we go any further, Stephanie, I need to tell you something. I was born in Green Bay. I sat in one of the coldest games in Lambeau Field history in the South Stands. I am from the land where the beer is always cold, the brats are always hot, and the cheese flows freely. And she started to laugh. And I knew the tension was broke and we could talk. So I said, let me put some options together. Let me go to Shutterstock, see what we can come up with. So we have the entrance to Lambeau Field there, which in loving memory in his nickname. The column on the left is his date of birth. The column on the right is his date of death. We put his photo in there and then his name underneath that, and then the image of the Packer helmet on the top, all from Shutterstock.com. Stephanie would call and talk to me during the process of doing this urn because it took a while to put all this together just the way she wanted it. And he died November 17th. And she called me before Christmas one time. It was probably 7, 8 o'clock at night. And I said, and she goes, Terry, how you doing? I said, Stephanie, I'm doing fine. What's up? She goes, I just have to tell you, the fact that I can feel the weight of my father in that urn, and I can touch and feel my father's face before I go to bed at night, you have no idea the comfort that this has given me. 6 months later, I get a call from the same director. Stephanie's grandfather died. And Stephanie's grandfather, she sent this picture. She goes, I want the same urn you did for my dad. Same type of texture printing. And he's sitting in his chair with this great hair, this huge handlebar mustache, and he's got a Heineken, and he's got a big old cigar here. And he's sitting in his leather chair reclined, and she goes, I want the picture of my grandfather like that on a furled American flag. I want the same urn, same director, same everything, texture printing. Now, you may be asking, boy, how much was that urn to do all that? That urn was roughly about $500 to do that whole urn. And it took us about a week to do it because she kept making some changes. But that's what she wanted. Image of the Golden Knights on a metal urn, Shutterstock.com. Image of the Golden Knights. Here's just, I'm not sure where this image of the eagle came. The family provided it. They did it. They gave us a release for it. I think it was a high school logo or something. The one on the right, that's Wrigley Field. So the funeral director calls me up and says, Terry, guy's a huge Chicago Cubs fan. I need Wrigley Field. And I want to personalize on the outfield. I want to do all this. And we're looking through it. I go, oh, that's the perfect picture to do this with. He goes, what are you going to do with the skyscraper in the back? I said, trust me, we use it for the hyphen. Why work around it? Why get rid of it? We use it as part of it. So there again, totally custom with Wrigley Field on it. This gives you an opportunity to see what we can do turning photographs into vector art. The hand on the right, they sent us, but they wanted it engraved. They did not want it texture printed. So we turn it into vector so we can do the engraving on it. The image on the right, we take the motorcycle. You can see the photo up there. And we could not, that would print horribly. It would look terrible. And plus where it's at, we can't print down there because the slope and the angle, it doesn't work. It gets distorted. So we vectorized it, but then we engraved it down on the bottom. And you can see that we're actually taking two different machines again to do that. Okay. Tattoos. Send us a picture of a tattoo that we can vectorize. We can either do engrave on wood with it, engrave on metal with it. That's not going to be an issue to do that. So we'll be good with that there. But you can see how the urn looked with her tattoo on there. Here again, signatures converted to keepsakes. The elephant, I'm not sure how that took place because we've got her signature on the top, but the writing on the bottom was so I'm not sure how, but that's what they gave us. They gave us that sketch on a piece of paper. And then they provided us with the tile of the artwork with the elephant on it. But that's what we did for the family. So you can see where this is something that is available mainly through the funeral homes and not online. It's hard to navigate. Okay, this one's tough. So Alexa here, she's 15 years old. She had epilepsy, really bad. You can see the epilepsy awareness ribbon down on the bottom. But on the left is her own handwriting, and on the right is her own handwriting. It came from her journal she kept. But the one that breaks your heart is the one on the right when it says up, up, and away. What if I went away, up, up, and away? I'll leave all my problems to never see again. I'll go up into the clouds. I've been waiting for this day since I've been 12. How bad was her epilepsy? I don't know, but that's what the family chose. And I see stuff like that and it breaks my heart. But I know we're doing something special for the families that they're not going to find online. This was awesome. That's actually Mark walking toward us on the urn in front of the helicopter. Young man, 54 years old, but his chopper in the back, you could feel the blades, you could feel everything, you could feel his uniform. But look at the story that tells. We're doing all these celebrations of life. We're doing all these other stories that we tell the story. Why shouldn't the urn tell a story? Why shouldn't the urn tell a story? Keepsakes. One on the left was hard to do. The family was so specific on how they wanted this laid out. The thumbprint engraved, we can engrave, doesn't matter whether it's an ink print or a digital print, you can send us any print. It took us 3.5 years to figure out how to do the thumbprints right. But look how they did the date 11/5/04, 11/28/22. That's how they wanted it. Each one of those had to be set up individually to make sure they lined up, that they followed the curvature. That took a lot of time to set that up, but that's what they wanted. The thumbprint there in the middle on a keepsake, and then the tribute coins out there with a photo and a thumbprint on the back. I always carry with me my dad's coin. My dad's coin's always in my pocket. Sorry, Dad. My dad hated to travel. But that's what he did for a living. He traveled all over the world. But growing up, Dad was gone a lot. I'd get a fishing pole for my birthday and Dad wasn't there. But my younger brothers, he then slowed down a bit his traveling. But that's, I think, why I carry my dad with me all the time. But it's just something there again, it's the customization. Doug pulled up to the shop one day and I saw a first responder's vehicle sitting out in front of my shop. I thought, why are they here? And yeah, I thought, boy, am I in trouble now? Fire department after me? What's going on here? Walk in, there's two individuals sitting in my office. One of them's a funeral director I know. Doug was his friend. Doug was off duty. He was a sheriff's deputy. He was off duty on a Saturday on his motorcycle. He was forced off the road and he died in the accident. And he goes, I know just what we're going to do. I want your 113 elk. Here's what we're going to do, all this stuff. And I said, no, we're not going to do that. I said, take a sample of this and show it to Doug's wife. The texture printing we can do, show it to Doug's wife. And he came back and he said, she likes it. So he brings this picture back of Doug on his last elk hunt he had. And I will say our graphics team did a marvelous job because that image did not look like that when we got it. The bullet hole, the blood, they cleaned all that up. But the wife made the comment, I can feel the fur on the elk. I can feel Doug's face. I can feel the branches on the tree. And he took 105 tribute coins. The tribute coins don't hold anything. See, I'm not a bling guy. I wear my wedding band and that's my bling. I would have no need to have any type of jewelry with a thumbprint. That's me. I don't do that. I don't want a necklace. I wear my wedding band and that's about as blingy as I get. But 105 coins went to a lot of his friends and a lot of other deputies. Now, I really like the one on the right here. Can you see it's $101, $301 he won. Look how happy he is. He won $301 from the Casino, Arizona. You'd be surprised how many of these we do with people with gambling themes. You would be shocked how many we do. But I just love that one because he looks so happy. Here's a guy gone farming. That's a picture of his tractor in his field. See, what we have to realize is when we're talking with families, it's the vernacular we choose to use. So I was outside an arrangement conference one time and I'm sitting in the hall waiting to talk to the manager, and we're going to call her Ashley. Ashley was in there making an arrangement. And I heard her with the lady inside and she was saying, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. I go, okay. So Ashley was done. And I said to the manager, do you mind if I speak? Can we meet? I meet Ashley? Sure. Yeah. Oh, Terry, it's nice to meet you. Blah, blah, blah. I said, Ashley, I want you to ask me a question that I have got to answer with a yes or a no. She goes, okay. She goes, did you have breakfast this morning? I said, oh, Ashley, that's the one meal I can't do without. I had some eggs, I had some bacon, I had some yogurt, I had some juice, and I took a banana for the road. What did you have for breakfast, Ashley? What just happened? We started a conversation. I go, okay, my turn, Ashley. And we're in the selection room. I point to an urn on the wall. That's a wood urn. I said, can that urn be personalized? Yes or no? She goes, yes. I said, right answer, wrong vernacular. She looked at me. I said, let's say you were we'll use Connie's name again, meeting with Connie, and she asked you that question. The appropriate response would be, Connie, of course we can personalize that urn. We can do 2 or 3 lines of personalization, or we can also add clip art to it if you'd like to enhance it. She goes, okay. I said, okay, next question. Glass urn on the wall. Can that be personalized? Yes or no? She goes, I'm afraid to answer the question. I said, there's no right or wrong answer. She goes, no. I said, right answer, wrong vernacular. The correct answer would be, unfortunately, Connie, because that's glass, it's very hard to personalize. But what we could do is we can hang a pendant on it, or if you like that because of its color, we can look at some metal urns that are in the same color spectrum. So what do? We're turning this into conversation. Talked to Ashley like 6 months later, and she goes, "Oh, Terry, my manager came up to me and congratulated me. My urn sales are through the roof." And he asked what happened. She goes, "I don't use yes or no for answers to questions anymore. So be careful of the vernacular you choose." This is the most expensive urn we have ever done. It was $1,049. It took 10 images to create this urn. You can see where we took the rock up on the top left. We removed the lion, put the lion from the bottom left on the rock. Then we put the bottom right in there, but they wanted all this stuff in there, and they chose the birds they wanted, but this is what they wanted. We worked directly with the funeral home doing this because I knew that if we got the funeral home involved in it, the director would jump off the cliff because of all the back and forth. We probably made 15 changes to this, but that's what the family wanted. Actually, I take that. I asked him if we could do a replica. I take one to NFDA all the time. Who saw that? We did the Pete Rose urn. That urn was so awesome. I grew up listening to the Big Red Machine when I was in Indiana. Pete Rose, Johnny Bench, Joe Morgan, Sparky Anderson. And so we did the urn for Pete, and they wanted no personalization on it. First off, they wanted the urn cropped up in here. And I talked to his daughter, Fawn. I go, "Fawn, this here tells such a story." The helmet on the bag pointing up to the sky. It tells such a story. And so we put Charlie Hustle on it, his nickname. And she goes, "No, we'll just leave it blank." And then she goes, "Well, let's just put Pete Rose on it." Then she called back and she goes, Sparky Anderson always called him Peter Edward. Never called him Pete or Peter. It was always Peter Edward. That's what Sparky Anderson always called him. So we put that on there. We took the number and the name off the jersey. The back of the urn tells such a story of him walking out the tunnel. But that's the urn that we did for Pete Rose. Matter of fact, it just had a service, I think, yesterday in Cincinnati. They said people started lining up at 4 a.m. No matter whether you love or hate the guy for what he ended up doing, he was a hell of a ball player. And my mother would have been proud, but I'm not a baseball fan. That's just not me. But it was kind of neat to do that and to work with Pete's family. So I'm going to leave you with this. It's my favorite quote of all time. By Earl Nightingale: "You will remain the same until the pain of remaining the same becomes greater than the pain of change." Let me repeat that. You will remain the same until the pain of remaining the same becomes greater than the pain of change. What I'm asking people to do, not only in your business life, but in your personal life, do not wait until that pain becomes so great that you have to make a change, because it may be too late. It may be too late for some of these funeral homes that they decide not to choose customization and personalization. And as their call volume grows and their competitors' call volume grows, that chooses that and theirs goes down, maybe they're just selling real estate because they don't have a business to sell anymore. Remember that, The Pain of Change by Earl Nightingale. I know I'm running a little early, but I did that intentionally because, boy, if I go over the first one of the day, it throws the whole day askew, right? And so that's me. That's Davis-Whitehall, okay? So if you have any questions, any comments, I'm out there. I have some stuff on display. Yes. Oh, boy. 2006. I was dealing with a funeral director from the Midwest. Let's call him Mark. And Mark calls me up one day and he says, "Terry, I'm dealing with this woman. I don't know what the hell she wants. You talk to her." Okay. So her name was Mary, and I start talking with Mary. I come to find out that Mary was divorced. She's a single mother of one boy. And Mary watched her son get eaten alive by a flesh-eating disease. Her only child. It was horrible. It was horrible. And we would talk about the decor of her house, the kind of wood she would want. We talked about everything. And Mary would just call me up to talk to me. During the conversation, Mary says to me, "Terry, how much do you think this urn is going to cost?" Listen to this, $1,500, $1,600, $1,700. This is 2006. I said, oh no, Mary, I'm sure it won't be that much. But when I'm done figuring everything up, I'll let Mark know. And Mark will get with you with a price. I think he sold her for $695. But in her mind, it was worth $1,500, $1,600, $1,700, the customized urn. And I will tell you, her kid was GQ, good looking kid. He was like 20, 21 years old when he passed. Good looking kid. A month goes by. I get a phone call. And it's from Mary. Mary, what do I owe the honor to? What do I owe the pleasure? She goes, Terry, I just had to call and say thank you. I said, Mary, what for? She goes, the urn was just perfect. It just, the way you talked about it, the passion you had, I knew it was going to be perfect. But the real reason I called to thank you is that you have given me my son back. And I said, Mary, I don't understand. And she goes, Terry, I can touch and feel my son's face again. You have no idea the gift you have given me. And it was a laser engraved wooden urn at the time. She's crying. I'm crying. I get off the phone. I turn to my wife. I go, stop, stop, stop everything. We're taking Davis-Whitehall in a totally different direction. We're going into customization. We're going to start customizing everything. We're going to focus on customization. This was back in 2006, and the people thought I'd lost my mind. I'd go into funeral homes and I'd talk to them, show them what we're capable of doing. They would tell me, Terry, you're 10 years ahead of your time. Families don't want this now. And I'd walk out thinking, no, you're 10 years behind the times because this is what families want now. It took COVID happening for families to make a huge shift towards customization. And boy, did they make a shift. So that's how I got started customizing urns. It was 18 years ago. And it's because Mark didn't want to talk to Mary because Mark didn't know what Mary wanted. But Mary and I spent time on the phone together. And that's when we pivoted Davis-Whitehall. And like I said, if we're not doing 50, 70% of urns we're sending out every day like this, that's a bad day. This is what families want now.